Welcome to the Facing Our Daemons Podcast.
We aim to educate
and entertain
while talking all things demonology and demonolatry.
Come for the demons, stay for the dad jokes.
This podcast is not intended for children or the easily offended,
although no offense is ever intended.
So pull up a chair and join us as we spend a few minutes
facing our demons. Welcome to the Facing Our Daemons Podcast. This is our inaugural episode. Thank you for joining us. We aim to educate and entertain at the same time while speaking about all subjects demonolatry and demonolatry. My name is Jay, and I am actually the layman here, but my good longtime best friend Beej is, as far as I'm concerned, the number one demonologist. I'm going to call him a demonologist. I had a word for this, I really did.
Demonolator.
It was demonologistrist. It sounded good.
Demonolatrist.
Right. Point being, I don't know jack about this stuff really, but my buddy Beej does. So, BJ Hamblin.
Howdy, everybody. My name's BJ Hamblin. I'm the founder of the United Temple of Daemonolatry out here in Lebanon, Tennessee.
Along with your fine wife.
Along with my fine wife. That's right, co-founders, co-dictators at the moment. But, yeah, we're interested in setting up an environment where anybody that's looking to learn about our field of endeavor can swing by and ask people involved in the study and worship and interaction with demons. Beyond the purely metaphysical, we're also really interested in actual real-world things, charity efforts, community building. Going to be a lot of good stuff going on, and I'm really glad you're here with us.
Awesome. So now you're going to hear us putting drinks up and down, lighting cigarettes and stuff. That's just how we roll. I thought, being our inaugural episode, give me a layman's succinct definition of demonolatry.
Oh, okay. Daemonolatry is the worship of demons.
Now, and of course, now every time we say demon, you have to include the A. Daemon. Daemon. Yeah.
That's right.
What is the difference? Is there, other than the spelling, is it significant other than it just being more traditional?
Oh, there is pretty good significance there. Originally, the Greek word Daimon, Daemon, described a type of spirit that worked in between humans and deities.
So it's not just a pissed off Jamaican going, Daemon! I'm going to stop making the joke now. Sorry.
It's well said. In Latin, they moved the H letter, the Daemon, in there, and that's what the United Temple likes to reference. It gets outside of the Abrahamic preconceived notion that demons are evil entities that are here to just fuck your shit up.
Okay, whereas I guess in popular culture, we see Demon as your classic from hell, total badness, blah, blah, blah.
Flames.
Whereas Daemon is, I always want to say Daemon because Daemon Tools. And all you PC geeks out there will know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so I see it and I say Daemon, but it's still pronounced demon, right?
And largely speaking, yeah, I'm not actually an expert on ancient Greek or Latin pronunciation.
Well, God damn it, Beach, you could have told me this.
Demon is how it rolls off the tongue, and I don't think the H letter takes away from that. In modern English, at least.
Fair enough. But okay, so in this context, it's more about delineating a, for lack of a better word, a race or classification of being. It's not necessarily classifying them as good or bad or anything like that. They're just, it's just kind of like pardon me, kind of like a supernatural classification, or I don't want to say supernatural. I don't want anybody to think it's like BS or anything, but anyway,
metaphysical, if you like the fancier parlance.
It sounds good on the ears, anyway.
Indeed. So Thomas Aquinas was a medieval Christian philosopher that wrote a lot of really deep foundational texts. The Christian community at large still adheres to, whether they know it or not. In that, he says that angels are beings of pure intellect, composed entirely of thought. In this way, you can put as many of them as you want on the head of a pin for dancing or other reasons. But I think it's a really good way of indicating that when you include science in the discussion, the entities that we are involved in partnership or worship with, depending on the individual demonolator.
Is that the word for that? Demonolator? I didn't...
A demonolator for men, demonolatrix for women, demonolatrist for neither.
Demonolatrix.
Or both.
Demonolatrix sounds kind of sexy, I'm not going to lie.
It was straight out of the Latin, yeah. Pretty easy one right there.
Right. Okay, so now I think we got a little segued just slightly to the side. We were trying to define demonolatry, but basically, I mean, the definition of the word simply is the worship of demons.
Yes, the interaction with these metaphysical entities. And that's where I was going earlier before I derailed myself. The spirits themselves are...
listeners, if you plan to stay with us for future episodes, be ready for derailment. It's just how it's going to go. Like I said, we're here to have a good time, too. So
These spirits are neither good nor bad. The Abrahamic inclination to reterm demons as entities of raw, malignant evil was a kind of a side effect of the Christianization of Europe, and then before that, the Hebrewisation of the Middle East.
Now, wait, you're not implying that the Christian religion would co-opt or change the history and traditions of other religions just to serve its own purposes, are you?
Now, it might have been bantered around in dark, smoky rooms by intellectuals here and there in the past, but it is a way that it can be interpreted. Now, in fairness, the Christian religion, during its Christianization process, one byproduct of it spreading everywhere was that it became the world's single most effective social aid device. If you needed alms, if you needed help from sickness, the church organized all of these community things and made them available in your local brick tavern of God. So this isn't just a Christian thing. Other religious efforts can do this too. But it's important to note that during the process, we can also learn from some of the unfortunate things that have happened to the deities of other pantheons.
All right, so we've slightly defined demonolatry, at least. We'll probably expound upon that in the future. For now, let's move to demonolatry in the news. Beach, what do you got for us?
Oh man, we've got some real gems today, Jay. So, ArtNet here has put up an article recently, and I'll just read the tag for it. Frankincense, myrrh, and cannabis? Archaeologists have discovered traces of weed on an ancient Israelite altar, suggesting that getting high was a religious ritual for the early Hebrew people.
Well, he is referred to as the Most High, so I mean, if you want to be godly, what choice do we have here?
Truly, on high indeed. This isn't really all that surprising if you step back and wonder what the burning bush was giving off before Moses came down from Sinai with the tablets.
I've engaged in a burning bush or two, but I usually referred to a redhead chick I was dating at the time. Okay. Woo! Sorry about that one. Not sorry.
But there's a lot of good conversation going on today about cannabis at large in Western society. There's more than half the states in the United States of America right now have some form or fashion of legalized marijuana.
Yeah, well, I mean, even the state of my birth, the great state of Oklahoma, at least has medical now, and I never would have saw that coming in the Bible Belt.
A deeply conservative state, I agree. But yeah, these things are not new. They didn't start happening in the 1910s and 20s. It's not something being hoisted on us by people from outside. It's a deeply human connection that goes back thousands of years into the earliest days of religion. And, you know, the earliest days of established religion today, but religion went way back before words,
So Moses was rocking the ganj.
Moses was undoubtedly rocking the ganj.
Well, good for Moses.
I know, right?
How did he carry those stone fucking tablets? Well, I mean,
Little stumble down the Sinai there.
I'm stoned and carrying stones.
Hobbling down
Thou
Horeb.
shalt have no other ganj before me. No, God. It was God. It was God, right? Right, God? Yeah, it was God. Okay.
Can you imagine someone sufficiently Cheech and Chonged wouldn't have a whole bunch of problems with idols or adultery? Or...
I'm just seeing Moses going down the lane in a lowrider. I was born in the East LA. Okay.
This altar they're referring to in the article was inside the Holy of Holies in Second Temple period Israelite structure. This isn't us joking around so much, although there's plenty to joke about. It's just something that's deeply human and goes back a long way.
The desire to get fried?
Well, cannabis has other... I'm, once again, not an expert on the medicinal uses of cannabis, but I know that it's not bad for you, and I know that it takes a metric fuck ton to kill you, versus, like, say, aspirin or alcohol.
The two things I usually mix, which I'm not supposed to.
Yeah, no. A little bit of bud in the state of Tennessee would go a long way to helping there.
I really hope that uncorking of the tequila bottle made it on mic real good, just in case it didn't. Okay, so anyway, the takeaway from that being that traditionally speaking, marijuana has had many uses, religious or otherwise, for thousands of years, and again, the government is fucking stupid for outlawing it.
Yeah. No, we can definitely generally agree to these points.
Yeah. Okay. Now, don't get it wrong, listeners. We're not going to be all ganja all the time on this podcast, but we are bringing it up for now.
Yeah. When you're thinking about demonolatry in the news and cannabis pops up on an ancient Israeli altar, it's something you can't help but notice.
Just ask Bob Marligoth, the demon of cannabis. All you have to do to summon him is light a joint, and he will fucking scavenger smoke his way into the conversation.
The Chaos Demonolators are loving this.
Are they really? I don't know. I mean, I hope everybody's loving it, but hey, if I'm pleasing anybody at all, I'm good to go. I'm happy.
If you're into Chaos Demonolatry and this inspires any ritual, please do write in and let us know.
Now, taking it back, this is a segue, but I looked into chaos magic at one point, and there seemed to be a lot of sigil work involved. Is it similar in chaos demonolatry, or is it just kind of similar in name?
I would say that the spirit of it remains the same no matter which metaphysical garden you're plowing it in.
I guess what I was asking about was the practical application, like how you go about it, because apparently, as far as I remember, chaos magic was about creating belief in whatever you needed at the time in order to fulfill the needs of whatever you're trying to do. So that would be different, because in demonolatry you do have a belief system in place. It isn't necessarily as flexible, right?
Well, it depends. One of the beautiful things about what we call the left-hand path, which is path of religious or spiritual endeavor that focuses more on the immediate than the existential or the hereafter, Satanism, demonolatry. One of the great things about that is...
And we will have to cover Satanism and what it is versus what it is perceived to be in a future date. Excuse me.
Actually, later this episode we'll be touching the Satanic Panic.
Well, holy shit.
I know, right? But these systems aren't set in stone. So that's one great thing that we have going for us in demonolatry, is you're not going to come across someone that looks at you with a straight face and says, this is the one truth of demonolatry, and here is the one method of pursuing it.
So no immovable dogma, no rock hard.
Right. No matter how you slice it, even amongst...
A religion that is willing to learn and change as needed? What?
It doesn't.
You know what? I'm out. I can't. No.
Stomp.
Right.
No, yeah, that's one of the exciting things I think that the future of religion holds, is that it's not going to be all order and hereafter. We can actually do a lot of this right here and now.
Come on, people now, smile on your demon.
But chaos demonolatry is. what's deeply personal to the Daemonolator practicing it, but Lucy from the famous Netflix series Enchantment by the Simpsons creators.
Enchantment.
Disenchantment. Cartoon.
Oh, I saw the first season of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's not segue too hard into that because I barely remember it.
Oh, absolutely. But there is a demon character from the show named Lucy, and in various communities online I've seen reference to
Although,
chaos.
have you seen Harmon Quest?
No.
Great shit.
Okay.
It's Dan Harmon and some B and C list celebrities playing D&D, and they animate it.
Oh no!
Oh yeah, check it. That's all I'm going to say about it. Just Google it. I don't want to go off on a tangent, but it's fun.
Oh man, that's a gem.
Yeah.
All right. I guess to round out the news, there was a discovery made not too long ago, and these things are always popping up in the Middle East and Iraq, Syria. The older, more original Mesopotamian religions, they keep crawling out of the woodwork, despite all these thousands of years of various repression.
You lay down the traps and you spray the boards.
Yeah.
Then here come the fucking Mesopotamia every fucking time. And, all right.
Sargon of Akkad just crawling out of the woodwork. So, archaeologists have discovered a demon on a clay tablet, which the ancient Assyrians believed was to blame for epilepsy.
Now, okay, you say demon on a clay tablet. Is this the name of a demon carved into a clay tablet, or is there some demon like hanging out like, God, I'm on a fucking rock over here?
I believe it is a carved image, like a
graven image?
A graven image
Oh,
in
I'm
a clay
into it.
tablet.
Oh.
Also, there is cuneiform given for this specific information.
Is it pronounced Q or Q?
Cuneiform?
Cuneiform.
Once again, like I am an interested amateur, but I am no expert in these Indo-Semitic
if you
languages.
say something that I thought was pronounced one way, I'm going to ask.
I appreciate that. The unexamined life, Jay.
I always thought it was cuneiform.
Cuneiform.
Cuneiform. Pardon me. I have this odd habit of affecting like I'm from New Jersey. I'm not sure why. I think it comes off funny.
I believe the more English way of saying it would include the cuneiform. I believe I've heard.
There's an A in that fucking word.
It's Cuneiform. Cuneiform. EI right there.
Okay, anyway, let's get back before we fucking lose everybody here.
So they discovered this Bennu is the name of this Assyrian demon. The Assyrians believed that gods and demons caused every single affliction that came to man.
Well, where else would it come from?
I know, right? But notice that they weren't all harping on the demons causing it, and they had their own specific phrase, their own specific word, which is not related to the Daemon that we've already discussed earlier.
Digimon.
Yeah, I'm not an expert in ancient Assyrian, so I can't come up with a vocabulary word off the top of my head, but it is interesting to know.
Is anybody an expert in ancient Assyrian?
There is an amazing variety of academic effort. I've actually spoken to a German PhD student who is in the field of Akkadian linguistics. And, man, it is some cool stuff going on in those communities.
Those are verbs I don't want to conjugate. I'm just saying.
But, yeah, that's the news, Jay.
That's the news?
That's the news.
No, just remember, no matter how old it is, if you ain't heard it, it's news to you. All right, so coming off the news, we are moving into a segment that we call Daily Practice.
Foundational stuff.
This is where we discuss just a one aspect or one particular act that could be included in your daily practice. So run with the beach.
All right. Well, in my personal practice, the only daily thing that I accomplish is prayer. Every night when I lay my head down on my pillow, I pray to my patron and matron demons, the 5 I consider and think about daily.
Now, do you feel comfortable sharing which ones those are, or would you rather keep that to your own thing?
Absolutely. I have 2 patron demons and 3 matron demons, and there are some traditions in Daemonolatry that don't believe you can have more than 2.
So it's a Sadie Hawkins dance.
It's a little heap of inspiration.
3 ladies and 2 dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
so
cool.
That's Azazel and Baal Hermon on the patron side. And
or as his mother calls him, Baal Herman.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And then I've got Lilith, Naamah, and Atharat on the matron side. So kind of a, what's it, the girl, the mother, and the crone in witchcraft.
The maiden, the mother, and the crone?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Look,
I'm not totally stupid.
Yeah, it's kind of my own little demonic version of that.
Okay. Well, but given that you're prepared to share those, I think that in the future we should go a little more in depth on each one of those on our Demon of the Week segment, which is coming later. But let's talk about what you wanted to cover in daily practice this round.
Well, so an awful lot of the literature in Daemonolatry covers Goetia or ceremonial rituals of various sorts, and although those are included in my practice, they're so intensive in preparation and materials and time and focus that it's not something I, as a modern human being, can put into each and every day of the week. So prayer is what keeps me focused on and interacting with the demonic in my daily life.
Awesome. Now, if I may segue for just a second, for the complete layman, pretty much like myself, define Goetia.
Goetia comes from an old Greek word. There were 6 types of mourners, 3 of them feminine that were wild and lashing out and emotional, and 3 of them masculine, which were rhetorical and logically structured and giving speeches. And one of the screaming and singing female parts of a Greek burial was the Goe. And so it came to be known in Greek religion or society that Goes were on the outside. They were the witch doctor, the magician. They were the left-handed path representative in the local villages of magic and religion. And over time, the Christianization of that turned it into a slightly different thing, where all the really famous Goetic manuals, the Grimorium Verum, Liber Jurata Sonori, there's a great many of them.
I like the way you just whipped that out, the Liber Jurata Sonori. Okay, sweet.
Medieval tomes.
That shit sounds important.
I know, Latin does that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But these tomes are full of instructions on how to deal with spirits, and as they devolved from that Greek tradition and that Greek thought of spirits as something interacting between the physical and the metaphysical, the spirits that were demonized through the Christianization process wound up falling into the greater Goetia category and were worked with by people all the way through the centuries. The Western occult's largely built on the theory.
All right. Well, to hop back to our main topic within this segment, you were speaking of prayer and how it's part of your daily practice. Are there specific steps or anything that you can share on that regard, or?
And I've been doing a lot of research into what I like to call Abrahamic demonolatry as a kind of method of healing from my upbringing. And in this, I've come up with structured, memorizable pattern prayers, but they're in a ritual context, not something I use every day. Once again, my actual nightly prayers are free form in a way, deeply personal, me talking to the beyond, and giving thanks, and asking for help in tomorrow getting this or that accomplished. Not physical aid in maneuvering the existing world, but in psychological aid, in that little motivational push to help me get through the day.
So, as you are describing it, I'm not really hearing that there's a major difference as far as the way you go about prayer, or major difference to how most people would do it kneeling at their bedside. It's just a free form thing. You're speaking to your higher ups as they are. That's interesting. Okay.
And once again, a lot of what I'm saying is my personal take on what is a very deeply personal religious experience. So
religion, I think, should always be deeply personal. If it's not deeply personal, I don't much see the point for it.
it's true.
I don't think you're getting out of it what you need if you don't have a personal, strengths. I'm not saying this right, but I don't think you're getting out of religion what you need if it doesn't touch you in a way that forces you to adapt a personal approach to it.
Absolutely.
Does that make any sense?
Yes, and I might have I could probably use better terminology here instead of.
Well, Lord knows we're not word heavy enough.
no, yeah. We need to split this here a little further.
We're in Latin, and what was it? What was it? Sumerian, Akkadian? What the fuck was it?
But deeply personal, yes. Any religious experience that is honestly pursued is deeply personal, as a result of the process. Perhaps what I should have said is that demonolatry is more a group of individual existential islands. Now, that's taking it too far, but...
You just blew my mind.
I know, right? So whereas for me and my upbringing and way of thinking about and pursuing my religious endeavors is still rooted in my childhood Protestant Christianity, others have been more comfortable getting farther out in their daily prayer routines. So I know of demonolaters that will daily participate in yoga as their primary method of interacting with the demonic. And
I would have thought that would have been a bit of a stretch. Okay.
Well, but I think it goes to illustrate very much that it's to each your own. If you like waking up in the morning with a lesser banishing ritual, the pentagram, and that's your daily thing, and you want to work the demonic into that, there is a way that your natural rhythm can be adapted to include this. It's however you want it to be.
Okay. Well, I look forward to exploring some other daily practice things in the future podcasts, some more maybe ritualistic or step-by-step things that may or may not be done. But that's interesting. Just basics right there. Prayer. It's still part of it. It's not so different from what you were taught. Regardless, it's still part of it. So that's interesting to me. I didn't really think about it until you brought it up right there. Okay.
Welcome, Jay.
All right. Well, do we have anything else on daily practice, or are we ready to move on?
Now we're ready to hit the next one.
All right. Well, moving on from that, let's move on to the segment that we have ever so temporarily titled "Myths and Stuff." We're gonna get better at this, I swear.
High wire act.
I've got a long enough pole, do you? Take it away, Beach.
All right. Well, I figured the first cool thing that we could cover in this podcast would be at least a cursory discussion of the Satanic Panic, which really brought Satanism into the public eye, even if in entirely fictional ways throughout the 80s and early 90s. This was a big spree of everyone worrying that there were satanic cults hidden throughout all of society that were ritually abusing children and participating in human sacrifice and cannibalism, and that's why we couldn't listen to cool metal music or see gnarly cartoons on TV. It was just moral policing gone awry.
You'd think that would be hard to get away with.
No,
I mean...
No, what it is it's this secretive cabal of ne'er-do-wells working diligently behind the scenes in ways that you can't possibly fathom.
Just ferreting out parents who wish they'd never had kids and going, "Hey, can we... we can solve this problem for you."
I mean,
just put them in our van.
Yeah, no questions asked.
And just don't say anything. Everything will be fine.
It's the most extraordinary pile of claims, and it destroyed lives. Like this flame burned through the country. They talked about it in Washington, D.C. They talked about it in courts all over the place, where they actually put people in jail for decades.
But apparently this burning was not an eternal flame.
No.
There's an 80s song reference for you fuckers that are as old as I am.
Yeah, no. A highway to hell, if you will.
Well, I see what you DC'd there.
Yeah. Do you remember anything from your childhood in that little period? Can't listen to cool music, I think I remember hearing you talk about.
I'm not sure when that would have been, to be honest with you. I don't actually have a whole lot of recollection from early childhood.
Now, you remember when Walmart put parental warning labels on all the cool CDs and then just stopped selling?
Well, I remember that, but yeah.
Changing lyrics and whatnot?
Yeah.
Little Nicky playing Chicago albums backwards.
Yeah, no, that was the good shit right there.
Yeah,
it was like, oh, it's Metallica, it's Megadeth. No, according to popular fiction. Easy listening group Chicago. I don't really know what day. I command you in the name of Lucifer to spill the blood of the innocent.
Yeah, no, most people don't try it, but there it is. Not really. But
well, you got to put your finger on the vinyl and spin it backwards, man. There's no lazy way of getting around it.
Not my vinyl.
Well, I'm sorry if you want to hear the word of our Lord and whatever Satan. You gotta spin the Chicago backwards.
Yeah, no.
And now that we've segued on that for 2 minutes.
That's just a little piece of the time there. That and Dungeons and Dragons. Oh, it was popular church fodder for that period that Dungeons and Dragons were leading the child straight to the devil's door.
Well, if you roll a natural 12... with 2d6, that's 6 and 6 and a third dice, which mathematically is insignificant.
You do always drop the low dice. That's the important thing to make a game happen there, right?
There we go. So we're just with a 6. But if you look at it 3 times, that's 6 and 6.
Sometimes.
That's the mark of the beast. And just ask my bard who died on that mission.
Oh, man. Tim didn't stand a chance.
Not a chance.
No.
Old Tim Delancey was his name. Which I've
Pontiac,
just decided.
Michigan.
Pontiac, Michigan. Everybody's up there hurling spears and swinging swords and casting spells, and I'm just in the back going, "Go, people, I love you. I'm buffing your stats right now. Listen to my," what would they call it? My lute. And when they die, we'll have more loot. Accomplished bard. Okay, seriously though, that's
straight to the devil, Jay.
At this point, even listeners are going, okay.
But no, that's a topic worth speaking of, so we don't fall back into what's the old phrase that history will repeat itself, right?
Oh no, I'm sure D&D will never come up again. Or any other tabletop game involving dice and rolls of chance and saving throws and wenches. I really like when it comes down to the wenches.
Oh, the wenches. Oh, yeah. You have some lovely lads, too. I mean, it doesn't have to be exclusive.
Well, no, and I mean, if that's your thing, that's your thing. But I'm down with the wenches.
There we go. Well, you enjoy that, Jay.
I'm just saying.
Not that I don't.
Give me those greasy, unwashed bitches.
It's important to have a flavor. Sorry, a preference.
I warned the listeners that we were going to derail, but even at this point, I'm like, if I were listening now, I might be ready for them to maybe just sidle sideways to the topic at hand.
Yeah. I guess we could move right into the Demon of the Week.
Oh, my favorite. This is my pet segment right here. This is what you're going to come back for every week. That and my dad jokes.
Yeah, they are top rate.
Well, I mean, I do what I can.
Top quality.
So, all right.
Azazel actually will be leading off our first Demon of the Week.
Azazel.
Mm-hmm. Azazel is mentioned in the Old Testament, although not as a demon, as a sacrifice goat, actually. The scapegoat for the sins of the Hebrew people during Yom Kippur. They would sacrifice one goat, and that was for God. And they would heap all the sins of the community on a black goat and kick it out in the desert.
How would you hate to be that goat?
That is not a good goat occupation, no. The goat's symbolic eating of the sins of the community.
Along with all the tin cans in the yard, if Walt Disney is to be believed. Goats will eat fucking anything.
Yep. But Azazel also pops up in other places. It's not the only place we see the name. So In the Ethiopian Orthodox Tawahedo canon, their Bible includes what's called the Book of Enoch, which is incredibly lengthy and covers a very specific branch of early Jewish mystical thought revolving around this vision of a heavenly chariot in Isaiah, I believe. Isaac, maybe? I can't remember which book it's from. But this literature was really concerned with what exactly was going on in heaven and with those that lived in heaven. And so it talked at length about angels. And
would you refer to this period as the Enoch epoch?
The Enoch epoch, yeah.
And if he were down with the R&B, would it not be the Enoch epoch in which he does Tupac?
You know, potentially.
Potentially. I mean, keep your head up.
He's one of the few people in the Bible to have never died. He was just,
Tupac?
No, Enoch.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
No, but, you know, Tupac's probably not still out there. That's a sad thing. He was a good musician.
He's a hologram now.
He was! Yeah, they did a little hologram thing. But Azazel in the Book of Enoch is one of the fallen angels, class of angels known as Grigori, or Watchers.
I always thought that was pronounced Grigori.
You know, it might. Once again, not an expert on Latin pronunciation.
Neither am I.
Yep.
But I gotta say, though, honestly, if there's a likelihood of either one of us to be wrong, it's probably me.
You read it, and you read it, and you read it, and you try to read it out loud, and, you know, Caecilius isn't sitting in the corner to correct your pronunciation, so...
You ever used a word you've never heard out loud, but you've read 100 times and pronounced it wrong, and somebody calls you on it?
Oh, that's a big part of it.
Oh, I've done that. Oh.
Yep.
Embarrassing!
But Azazel, as one of the lieutenants of the fallen angels, so he wasn't actually in charge. It was an angel named Simjaza in the Old Text, which you could translate as Samael, and you can look at the further etymology of that name going down in a trillion different ways.
Samael?
Yeah, but so Samael gathers all these angels together, and he's like, hey, let's go down here and let's save humanity from God, because the celestial wisdom at the time said that humanity didn't need to know things like blacksmithing or making perfumes or dyes or like all of these.
Well, if that fucker's not going to shoe my horses.
I know, right? Yeah, not much chance at that point. So they see this going on, and they want more for the humanity that they've been tasked with watching all these years. So they're like, you know what? Let's go down there and let's give them more. And Simjaz is standing up before all of them. He's like, you know, I don't think y'all are really going to do this. I think y'all are gonna, you know, crap out on me about halfway into this, and I don't want to be the one that takes this. So he got them all to swear and bind themselves by what's called mutual imprecations, which means they cursed each other if they failed to make this happen. And then they all fell, and they landed on a place called Mount Hermon, which is on the border between Lebanon and Israel today.
Mount Hermon, yeah.
Mount Hermon. And
Hermon.
Yep, fair enough. And Azazel was the one that actually taught humanity more than anyone else. And in the book, it's even mentioned later that to him should be ascribed all the sin of that endeavor. Angels wound up mating with humanity. And gender in metaphysical beings is a really interesting branch of thought.
I bet those orgasms were heavenly.
Right, so I don't think it all has to be in the one direction either. I don't think we need to assume that all of these angels were masculine and that all of the all of the humans they got with were women. I don't believe that's something that we have to lock ourselves in on. Or, you know, the existence of homosexual angels or spirits or demons or... You know, I don't think that we as physical beings who have a daily interaction with these concepts should be so convinced that we can ascribe gender to things that are in a way beyond it.
Well, somebody's dicking somebody.
Somebody do. So Azazel gets the extramost punishment and is cast into his very own special hell in the Book of Enoch for his efforts. And that's why you keep seeing Azazel popping up, going down the centuries in the Western occult. Like, here's a fallen angel
who taught stuff that is really foundationally critical to civilization and humanity in general. And, oh, by the way, thanks. And why are you the bad guy? So, welcome to our Demon of the Week, Azazel.
Cool.
All right.
I like how we got into dicking there, too.
Well, I mean, it takes all kinds.
It's a good time. Well, where does that leave us? Beecher, have we hit everything?
You know, I think that's all the segments of episode 1 right there. This has been an unbelievable pile of fun. I can't wait to do more of this.
Yeah, I definitely have had certain fun. Like certifiable fun. Like stamp it, it's fun. It's good times. But now I want to go home and beat off to angel porn.
Well, don't forget the demons.
Well, their tail gets in the way.
Man, it's what we're here to do is face them. Come on.
That's true. So straight missionary. Oh, that sounds fun.
Oh, no. There's all kinds of variations on the theme there. There's the Amazon, there's a cowgirl. That's right. Thank you, baby. Wonderful wife helping there with the facing positions.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us. Now, we hope to do this for a long time. We want to have a lot of fun doing it. And we do hope to educate as well as entertain, as we said in the beginning. So hit us up if you have any questions, comments, blah, 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 blah. We're on Twitter at FODPod. That's at FODPOD. Or Facing Our Demons. Don't forget the A. At gmail.com. Or is it Facing Our Demons Podcast at Gmail? Which one is it?
Facing Our Demons at Gmail. DAEMON. Pretty sure.
Yeah, well, anyway. Eventually we're going to be on YouTube and we'll blah, 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 and you can find us at some point whenever we get started here, anywhere podcasts are found. So if you've enjoyed your time today, please leave us a review, give us a like, a blah, 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 subscribe, all those good things that help people like us give you the content that you want. Thank you so much for joining us. Beej, any final words?
Keep it real out there. Everyone have a good one.
And always remember, back off from the server when you look mouse.